Hello again. So this is Joel Ross once again. This video is supposed to give you a brief overview of the Ed platform so that you know how to use and how to navigate that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So first, in order to get onto Ed, you're going to have to sign up for an account. We don't have the LTI integration yet, so you can't quite just sign in with your UW account. So you'll have to sign up for your own account. Please use your UW email address because that's the one we're going to be able to give access to this platform to. We'll set up the access for you automatically, but you have to sign up to actually be able to get in, create your own password and so forth. So make sure you sign up with your UW account to actually get in here. Once you're logged in, you should be able to see a page that kind of looks like this. So there are two main parts of this platform that we're going to be using. We're going to be using the lessons, which are the actual modules, the content, the practice that we'll be doing in this platform, and then we'll be using the discussion forum to be able to ask and answer questions. So we're going to start with lessons because that's going to be, you can switch between these using these icons here up at the top. By default, you'll start with lessons. And so that's where we're going to start. So each module is made up of a couple different lessons. Each one's on a different topic. You can click on a particular lesson to view it and to actually enter into it. I'm going to use this example lesson that I created because the other ones are actually still in production a little bit. Then they might change after this video. This video gets published, and I want to make sure that there's no confusion. So if we click on this lesson, we can be able to view what it looks like. A lesson is organized into a set of slides, which you can see here along the side. Each slide is going to basically be a set of content or a set of practice exercises. So for example, this first slide is a reading slide, and that would be some information that we'd like you to read. It's generally going to be a link back to the course book text. I'm not actually going to put all the text in the slide itself, but that'll at least tell you sort of what chapter and what piece of content you need to be able to read. There's also going to be videos to watch, and those are all going to be embedded and built sort of inside Ed so you know where you're going. Exercises then are going to be mainly what we're going to be using the Ed platform for. That's what the purpose of this thing is. And exercises are going to be these small programming exercises designed to give you some practice so that you're able to try things out in a way that's not really graded. Exercises are going to be graded on basic completion credit. If you try it out and you make it work, which you should because you can just keep retrying it, you'll get credit for it and that'll be fine. Great, so let's take a look at what these look like. The biggest piece about exercises is that we're going to get a description in the middle, which will basically be telling you what you need to do. So in this case, we're going to be practice writing a really simple line of code in Python to say print hello world, which we'll talk about more of that later. And then they also provide you a workspace area where you're basically able to write and edit code just like any other editor. So this is a virtual coding editor. It's also got a command prompt. If you click to activate the terminal down here, this is exactly like the command prompt that we'll be talking about in Module 1 and which you'll be learning to use, and exactly like would exist on your own computer. You're working inside of a little virtual machine here. Great, so we can then be able to, inside the editor area up here, you're going to be able to type in your code and run your solutions and do your work. So for example, we could try printing out hello world as instructed. We'll go over what all this code means later. I'm trying to give you examples of what the interface looks like. Once you've tried something out, if you go down here to this mark button, you're going to be able to basically test your code and see whether it's correct or not, and it'll automatically tell you whether you did the right thing. So if we hit that button, it'll go through marking it and it'll give us some feedback. It tells us that our code isn't quite yet, and it'll actually tell us then what kinds of test cases, how it checked to see if we were doing the right work, and then what you might have gotten something wrong. So in this case, it tells us that our output was correct except for punctuation, so we got our punctuation wrong. So what this means we can then do is we would be able to go back into our coding window and we might say, let's fix it. Let's put in the punctuation that it asks for. We fix that work. We can hit mark a second time, and then it'll mark and tell us that everything is passed and we finish the slide and life is good. It's really, really normal in programming to write some code and have it not quite work and have some problems and go back and fix it and try it again, have problems and go back and fix it and try it again. That's the normal workflow. That's totally expected. So that's what we set up to do, is you can try something out, it'll tell you not what you did that may or may not quite work, and you can go back and then try to fix it and be able to get where you need to go. So again, make sure you can click on the terminal here in order to be able to get access to this terminal so you can be able to do anything you want to do from the terminal. So we can, for example, ask what directory we're in, and if we want to actually run this program, we can go ahead and do that, and then they'll print out our hello world work. So this will, again, we're going to go through how all this works more in the next couple modules, exactly what all these commands and weird things I just typed in do, but I want to basically show you the important parts are type code in here, hit mark to test your stuff, and see what happened over here in the feedback area. If you want to go back to see the full description, to go back to the instructions, you can just click on the description in order to be able to see that kind of work. Good. What else do I need to talk about? Cool. The other thing that I want to make sure to note, because this is going to be useful in some of the earlier exercises, is that in the if you want to go back, basically, if you want to go sort of, if you've made some mistakes or you decide I want to sort of start over and you want to try it over again, you can effectively restart your exercise, restart your work by doing what's called resetting this to the scaffold, to the original starting code. So if you click the hamburger menu right here, these three dots, there's an option to reset to scaffold. So if I do that work, I'll make sure that we really want to do this because this will erase your previous work. You'll lose what you've already done. But if we reset that work, then you'll notice that my code goes away. I'm back to where I was when we first started working on our assignment. So this is going to be useful if something goes really screwy or right haywire and you're like, you know what, I just want to go back to where I was. You can take the code you did, go copy and paste it, save it somewhere else, restart your scaffold, and then be able to restart and work ahead without having a bunch of like overhead and cruft and other things happening where you need to go. That's most of the details. That's pretty much what you're going to need to do for exercises. There'll be some more details that might come up as we begin working through stuff and as we do more complex exercises, but that should at least get you started. And as always, of course, if there's questions about other things we need to do or other things we need to go over, please let me know or I'll add them in as we go. All right, the other piece then of ED that I want to make sure to talk about are called the discussions. It's the discussion forum. So this is a discussion forum that's going to work an awful lot like every other discussion forum you've ever used. If you ever use any other Q&A forum, if you ever use Piazza, it's going to work kind of similarly to that. So if you have a question, if you want to be able to, or post something, you want to be able to share some information with us, the best thing you can do is you can click this new thread button up here at the top, and that'll let you start up a new question. Give it a title for, let's see what I want. You can say that I have some question about ED, about how that works. You can mark it as a post or a question. This is just, again, helping us sorting things, how they work. Right? Isn't this awesome? Is my question. And you can do that kind of work. You can give it categories, you can mark questions. This is mostly then to help us figure out where we need to go. This class is not so big that I'm really worried about like categorization, tagging stuff. If you mess up that, don't worry about it. We'll be able to answer your questions no matter where and how you might ask them. I want to make sure to note is that you can also post anonymous questions. So if you don't feel embarrassed about them, if you don't want people to know who's asking, post anonymously, that's okay. I kind of prefer maybe you didn't because it's useful if I know who I'm talking to, but you're welcome to do that if you want. More likely what I would recommend doing is if you can also do private posts, which will be posts that the rest of the class can't see, but I can see and I'll be able to respond to. So that's a good way if you want to ask really specific about questions about your code, but we don't want to share it with the rest of the class, or you want to ask something kind of private, you're welcome to, again, do this by sending me a private message through Ed. You can also, of course, always send me an email if you need to. That will get me where I need to go as well. Cool. So the other really cool feature that Ed provides, I'm going to have to mention because this is like their demo, this is what makes them awesome, is it's also possible to put bits of code directly into your question here. So rather than having to type out the code you want and sort of paste it into this document, if you click this icon over here, the one that looks like two little arrow brackets, which is a web symbol thing, this will let you insert a block where you can write some code. So we can write that printing hello world that we used earlier. If you click this drop-down menu, you can specify what programming language you want to use. We're going to be doing Python 3 work. So you can basically select what you want to do Python 3, write out your code there. You'll notice now it does all the formatting and coloring and makes everything look correct. And then the really cool part is you can also make, these are runnable code blocks. So if you want to see what your code does and you want to demonstrate, like, this is the output I was getting, you can click that run button and it'll actually make it work exactly as expected. And that's how you can be able to post these questions to do things with Note. I promise this will seem much cooler once we actually get into the class and start being able to actually do some coding and make some more question stuff, but trust me, it's a really cool feature and that's why we're using it. Great. The one other note I have about using Ed and about asking questions is that it's great to ask questions. Please ask lots of questions. I love asking questions. That's how you learn. I love answering questions. I love asking questions too, but answering questions is the best. And asking questions is how you learn anything. So you need to make sure you actually do that. And it's fine to post little bits of code that really helps explain what you're trying to do and helps us figure out where you need to go. But don't post the entire solution to an exercise, or don't post your homework assignment publicly. Like, you can send that to me privately by using this private message tag. That's totally fine. Just don't do it publicly because we don't want other people to be able to see your answers, and like make sure that other people can actually go learn and figure this out on their own. All right, so we can go ahead and post our message. That'll be great. Once our message is posted, it works the same way as most other discussion social media type sites you might use. You can specify that you want to watch, wait, and be able to get notified of replies to individual questions. You can heart them if that's a thing you're interested in. You could post replies. You can specify answers to these questions, and I'll be able to come in and basically mark particular things as answers. So this will work really well as a learning platform. So yeah, this will be great. Do what you need to do to make this work. Again, this is my first. We're trying out Ed. This is my first time using this particular platform for doing Q&A, but I'm really just curious to see a little bit how it works and how well we use it. I think it'll work amazing. That's why I'm excited to try it out. But part of this is going to see what works well for you, and we will use and shape our tool usage to make it something that works best for you. So yeah, that's where we'll go, and that's basically the best place to ask questions. So again, Ed is the best place to actually ask questions, particularly about the homework and about doing programming assignments. It's the best way, it's the easiest place for us to be able to type out code, it's the easiest place to be able to explain things, be able to have some kind of back and forth. Please don't email me programming questions. It's really hard to discuss that kind of thing and do that back and forth over email. Ed is the right place to do that. You can email me about anything else, that's fine, I'm happy to respond to email, but Ed's good for programming questions. So please use this tool and we'll be able to figure out where these things are and how this all works. Okay, that should get you started with Ed. So again, we have to deal what the things we need to work with are the lessons where we're able to find your practice exercises, as well as all the actual content and material for the course, and then discussions where you'll be able to ask and answer questions. Yeah, and please actually answer questions if you see something you know. Help me out, help out everybody else, and get those things together. That should get us figured out with Ed. So great.